macro-level shift to a decentralized world. With Salim Ismail, OpenExo and ExoWorks.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you in the room, I think this may be a moment that you don't forget anytime soon. If you don't know my background, I'm one of the founding CEOs of Singularity University. Built it out for about 7 years in a bunch of roles, led most of the programs for several years. And I noticed that we have a massive set of breakthroughs coming in the form of what I call Gutenberg moments. Right? In the 15th century, the printing press fundamentally changed the world. And we call that now a Gutenberg moment because of the fundamental transformation it instigated in society. Well, solar energy changes the world completely. Blockchain changes the world completely. And an observation I had is that we have 20 Gutenberg moments hitting us all at the same time. And I wrote a book on the back of that called Exponential Organizations on how do you scale an organization structure that can scale as fast as technology can scale. And on the back of that book, we've built an ecosystem that is literally transforming the world today. We've built a particular set of ecosystems that works on a particular set of problems, which I call the immune system problem. And for anybody that's been in corporate innovation, if you try anything disruptive, the antibodies in the company attack you. Right? Now you're in a political environment. We have the same problem in the public sector where bankers have a tough time getting their heads around Bitcoin, taxis are fighting Uber, and it's much worse in the public sector where you have to deal with existing regulatory and policy. And we've solved that problem. So we started with a 10-week program we piloted with Procter & Gamble where we can hack culture at scale and move leadership, culture, management thinking 3 years ahead in 10 weeks. We've done it now 40 times with Black & Decker, HP, Visa. I've worked with the CEO of Gucci. There are about 40 sitting presidents and prime ministers using the book to manage their countries. And we have a nonprofit that does the same work in the public sector. It takes 16 weeks, but it works. We ran a project with the mayor of Miami 3 years ago to transform public transportation and laid down a lot of the vocabulary that you see coming out of Miami these days, where many of you will be next week. So we've created kind of billions of dollars in demonstrable value, and what we're doing is now tokenizing that environment. There's a community of consultants based on the book that's now about 8,000 people in 150 countries. So we have 8,000 experts in different areas that consult and use the model to propagate transformation in their various ecosystems. And so we created a token for that because we had a huge issue. There's no way of paying 8,000 people in 130 countries without some sort of token model. So unlike almost every other token where they've built the technology and then are looking desperately for use cases, we honestly by accident went the other way. We built the community, built the ecosystem, we've got a growing economy of our own, and then we're tokenizing it just so that we can get all these folks paid. And because as that number scales, we've grown 10 times just in the last year in the number of people using this model. We've got Accenture as part of our ecosystem. There's a whole bunch, about 400 companies have transacted using the token to purchase training and certification services in our ecosystem and purchase consulting services from our clients. One of our projects is actually getting cleared forested land in the Amazon, tokenizing it, and then reforesting it. So there's a bunch of projects popping up around the world that are totally acting on this transformation, not just to fix old things, but to radically bring on new ideas in the world. The major announcement that we have today is that over the last few months, there was a massive technological breakthrough where a brain bank with some MIT grads has found they can successfully preserve a brain and all of the key information in a brain upon death. Okay? So they can successfully preserve all key information upon death of a brain, and essentially we have that information to bring it back at any time in the future. There was an old field called cryogenics that has dealt with this. This is the next generation of it. With our token, we have pre-purchased 5 of these brain purchases so that we can essentially take 5 terminally ill patients, and when they die, we can essentially preserve their brain for posterity. And this brings up some incredibly relevant and important ethical questions on who do we choose? How do you choose? This has religious issues. This has ethical issues. And the challenge we have is that as a society, we're not set up for that conversation, right? We don't have any place. Religions don't deal with it. Our pension plans or government structures can't deal with it. And yet, like blockchain is transforming the world, and it's very hard to get that conversation into the real world, we need to have this conversation. So we are sponsoring 5 terminally ill patients to be preserved upon death, and we'll see how we navigate the morass of ethical rules, legal rules that come along with it. We're seeing that this 20 Gutenberg moments are not going away. In fact, the number is increasing. If you think about CRISPR, where you can write to a genome, we essentially render a human being into a software engineering problem with something like that. And so there's some huge implications for all of these. As we work with CEOs and governments, the positioning we have is we have a token for transformation in the same way that Filecoin tokenizes storage or BAT tokenizes attention. We're tokenizing the transformation that's needed in the world to go from a scarcity to an abundant world, to go from a centralized to a decentralized world. And we've solved 2 pieces, which is that immune system problem, and we've got a community and an ecosystem that can drive that change. And so I welcome you to come join us. The website is openexo.com. You can learn more about us there. With crypto leading to UBI, you know, there's 2 fundamental realities that people have lived with for hundreds of years: death and taxes, right? And many of you have heard that comment before. Well, crypto brings us to UBI, which solves the taxes problem. We think we just solved the death problem. Thank you very much.